Yeah. And we are ready to rock and roll. So, again, we are here and we're talking about make and receive offers. So, now we're in the process of the transaction stage of the course overview. So, you're coming up to the last stages of Ignite, make and receive offers. Then we're going to go into negotiate offers. And then you're going to end it up this week with get to closing and plan for the future. Our belief system, our Y4C2Ts, I think it is very critical and it was very smart to make sure we put this in when it comes to making offers and negotiating contracts. Because again, we're looking at what is the win win situation for our clients. We're working in integrity. Our customers come first. We're going to communicate, seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results, teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. That is very big when we're in the conversation of negotiation. If we work as a team with the co-broker, we can make it a win-win and everybody can be happy. Trust starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. So our agenda today for the first part of the session. So we're going to do our first part, take a quick break while I pull up the next slides, and then we'll go into it. My goal is to get you all out of here, faster than the scheduled time. Okay. We're going to talk about the offer process, transition to prepare the offer, write the offer, present the offer, receive and respond, do a quick recap, and then we'll go into what we talked about. Bo Bennett, Arthur PhD says, I like to think of sales as the ability to gracefully persuade, not manipulate, a person or persons into win-win situation. So again, I like to think of sales as the ability to gracefully persuade, not manipulate, a person or persons into a win-win situation. So when you guys see that quote and hear that quote, what pops up in your mind? What is something you think about when you hear that?
Our fiduciary agreement, we're doing something for their benefit. It's not for our benefit.
Exactly. I like that. We're doing it for our clients' benefit. We're looking for that win-win situation. And then there's going to be some times where we have to, as a professional, we're going to have to give a little nudge to our clients. Okay. We have to remember this is one of the biggest purchases of their life. It doesn't matter if you have somebody where they can buy a $40 million boat. If they can buy a $40 million boat, their house is probably going to be 200, 300 million. So again, their home it would be the biggest purchase they have. Another part of that too is we're in the trenches. We're boots on the ground. We're working in real estate on a daily basis. Our clients aren't. So we have to make sure as they're, going through their life, they're going to work, they're taking care of the kids. We have to stay on top of those things and we have to make sure we're giving them, the information and we're being their voice for their ear. Right? All right. So we'll start by covering the offer process. When you're thinking about the offer process, there's three ways that the seller can respond to an offer. Buyer makes an offer. Your seller can either counter the offer. Once they counter the offer, now we're going into negotiations. We're going back and forth with the buyer side to figure out how can we come to a common ground. Second part is they can accept the offer. If they accept the offer, now we're going into the contract to close phase and we're getting the ball rolling. The third part is reject the offer. Me personally, unless it is a completely lowball offer, I always advise my client to counter. They submitted an offer, they're open to negotiation, and like they said here in the slide, buyer agents contacts listing agents to learn more. Don't assume no means no. So again, when emotions run high for others, it is our job to remain professional and put together. It's not our purchase or sale. We don't get to be emotional. We serve them by being calm, reassuring, in control, and most importantly, by communicating everything to our clients in a timely manner. So, again, we have no dog in this fight. So we remain calm. We're not attached to the outcome, and we're being level headed and clear headed to help our clients self discover, giving them the information, and then we can give them some advice to show, hey, this is what I think we should do. Okay. Anything around this slide, anything that sticks out to you, or anything you would add into it. All right. Perfect. Okay, next we're going to talk about prepare to offer. So you got an overview of the offer process. Now we're going to go into what that looks like for preparing an offer for our clients. Prepare to write an offer. So you want to make sure you ensure the property is still available. One reason why this is key is that it was at one point in time that properties were going under contract while we were in there viewing the properties. Now, the market may have softened up a little bit where it's not to that extreme. But again, you want to make sure the property is still active. It can either be under contract, expired, or they decided to cancel the contract. Another thing is you get a lot of clients that'll send you things from Zillow. And we all know Zillow all the time, they're not updated with stuff. So again, we want to make sure the property is still available. Two, this is a big thing that a lot of people fail to capitalize on is building a rapport with the listing agent. So we're gonna go to the next few steps of inquiring about activity. So you call a listing agent, you introduce yourself, you let them know that you're preparing an offer. Then you ask, have your clients received any offers? If so, have they rejected any offers? Can you give me some detail of what happened with the offers? Here's what's important about that. If you contact a listing agent and a listing agent says, yeah, we had three offers, my client didn't accept any of them. Now that lets me know, okay, this seller may not be motivated to sell, or they may not need to sell. So is this a situation that me and my client need to move forward on if they have already rejected or other offers have failed through? Next is asking questions about seller's motivation and needs. This is another thing that a lot of people fail to ask because they're majority of the time it is offer price. But then there's other things that can move the needle on what will make a seller accept the offer or not. I've seen a lot of times where closing date or lease back is the most important thing. It's not the actual offer price, it's the contingencies, it is the terms around the actual offer. So asking about that. Asking a listing agent how they want to receive the offer. Nowadays, it's mostly, sending it via email, but you're still wanting to clarify that you have that open line of communication with the listing agent of the best way to present the offer. Buyer pre-approval from lender, I'll just give my opinion on that. That should be already done before you even take the buyer out to see properties. You should already have the pre-approval letter. If you need to get it updated to reflect the specific property or the price, then you could definitely do that. Review MLS and tax records. You always want to cross-reference the MLS with the tax records because a lot of time agents aren't putting in the right information, especially when it comes to taxes. I know here in Chicago, there could be situations where an agent will put in the tax amount, but that's only for the first installment and that's not for the full tax year. We've had situations, numerous situations where that came up as an issue and there was a few disputes about it. So you're doing your due diligence to make sure that the tax records reflect what's happening in the MLS. Produce a comparative market analysis. You want to make sure that you're presenting a strong offer and you're not going too far over what the market value is. And then last, attain seller disclosure statement and other needed documents. In the MLS, I know for us, there's a part in the listings where the listing agent can put all of the disclosures in there, so you're able to go through that and look over it with your clients. Okay. Anything that sticks out to you all from this slide, or anything where you're like, oh, okay, good to know, or is it something else that you would add in there when you're preparing to write an offer?
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
Um, I, through the more experienced agents here in Las Vegas, when I've gone through their training, they've been pretty insistent on trying to present the offer to the seller face to face. And I guess there's some rules here in Vegas that helps you do that. I don't know what your opinion is on that, if that's something that is not as universal around the country.
So the buyer's agent wants to present the offer to the seller.
Correct. Face to face, if possible. Sometimes, they may be out of town and it may not, or they can, I even had trainers saying you should arrange a Zoom call and really, really advocate for your buyer and really sell instead of just emailing and crossing your fingers and say, gee, hope they like my offer. I haven't been able to experience that, but that's why I want to see what your opinion is, if you had experience with that and how to really get past the what seems to be normal of just sending an email and then as opposed to just being more involved in the process.
I know for us, we have to have all communication with their representation. So we can't go and have a direct conversation with them unless there's some things that weren't disclosed from the listing agent. Like if there are some things that they don't, if we ask for information and they don't share it, then we have the right to go directly to the seller. So if we feel like they didn't present our offer, we can go to the seller and say, hey, we presented the offer to your agent. Did you receive the offer? But we can't, go and present the offer ourselves to them. We have to present it to the agent, and then the agent has to present it to the client.
Thanks. I think kind of part of what surprised me is in this day of DocuSign and everything of being electronic. Makes sense. These are some pretty senior agents that in the past that wasn't even an option. You didn't have the technology to do that kind of stuff, and they
Yeah.
were still saying no. That's the best way to present your offer. So I just wanted to get your opinion. So thank you on that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't experienced that. It's always been where they'll send it to the listing agent, and then the listing agent will present it to their client. Okay. Anybody else have anything they would add to that, or any questions about it? All right. Thumbs up. We good to go? All right. Perfect. All right. All right. So now we're going to go into writing the offer. Let me let me in. All right. So writing the offer, we want to make sure that one of the things is we're not, and it's not on here, but I do want to highlight it. Buyer love letters. We are not submitting buyer love letters. We're not submitting pictures of the family. At one point in time, people were doing that a lot. That caused a lot of trouble. That caused a lot of fair housing. It was a whole thing. So buyer love letters are no longer things that we are presenting with our offers. So price and terms, the offer price, what are the terms? The seller's disclosures, we have that. We're going over that. We're explaining it to our clients. They're signing their initial in it. Conveyance, what are the things that are conveying with the property? What are things that aren't conveying with the property? We're putting that into our offer. Earnest money, how much earnest money we're putting down, and in what time period will that be delivered? Due diligence and inspection period. Time for seller acceptance. That one is one that I will always put a star by. Depending on the market we're in, would determine if that's something I do. For instance, if we're deep into a seller's market, there's multiple offers going on. I am advising my client, we are not giving the seller an ultimatum because that's going to rub them the wrong way, where they're not going to even entertain our offer. Now, if we're going into more of a softer market, a balanced market, or transition into a buyer's market, then yeah, we're going to put a time on there for them to accept the offer. Then we got financing terms: FHA, VA, conventional, hard money, cash, whatever the terms are. A copy of the buyer pre-approval letter, closing date. If your client wants a home warranty, then they want the seller to pay for it, putting that in there. Repair limits, special clauses, and addendums. Talk through the offer. So we're going to make sure we review the contract. One key thing, especially with everything that's going on in our industry, we have to make sure that our buyers fully understand the contract. What that looks like is, with us doing it via DocuSign to sending them the signatures, we may have to hop on the Zoom with them and go through the contract with them. I say that just so we can protect ourselves with everything that's going on. There's a new lawsuit that just popped up. So we just want to make sure we're on top of things, and we make sure that our buyers truly understand the contract that they're signing and initialing. Review details like price, closing date, inspection, contingencies, conveyance, etc., etc. Know what is essential in your area. Know standard and common terms for offers in your area. Avoid rookie agent mistakes. Now, for our newer agents that haven't put together an offer yet, I would say have either your coach, your managing broker, um, accountability partner, somebody, a veteran agent that you can have review your contract before you submit it, just to make sure that you have everything going. Also, another thing that I would recommend is, if right now you're newer in the business, every week do a new offer contract, like write up a mock one, do it, get a fake buyer's name, get a property, and then just keep practicing writing the offer contract. That way, when it's time for you to do it real time, you've done it so much in practice that when it's time for the game, you're Johnny on the spot, you're ready to go. Okay. Anything from that talking about talking through the offer? John, I do the whole Chicago and surrounding suburbs. Yep, that would definitely be a great accountability to do with your accountability partner. One week you are the agent and you're putting together an offer contract for them. The next week they can be the agent and they're putting together an offer contract, where you're just going over it so much that it just becomes second nature as you're putting together the offer contract. And then I know for a lot of people, especially us, we have a whole bunch of new contracts since August 17th. Everything has been redone. There's been new wording. There's been new sections put in. So this again will be that opportunity for you to practice, practice, practice to where you're able to just have it down pat. So when you do have that buyer, you know how to do it and you're ready to send it off. Okay. Now we're going to go into present the offer. Present the offer checklist. First, we're going to double check all documents. We want to make sure that we have everything aligned and everything is right, because the thing that you would hate to do is not fill out everything or do things correctly. You submit the offer, the listing agent give you a call and say, hey, the contract isn't right. Could you update it? You go do that, get your client to sign it, and they received another offer. So we want to make sure we're on top of it. We're double checking all documents. We're making sure we have everything and we're good to go. Follow instructions. So again, however they said they wanted to be communicated with, how they say present the offer, that's how we're following, and that's what we're gonna do. Label all documents clearly. That is a big thing. And I have been guilty of this before where it'll say 1582374 PDF. And I forget to label it as purchase contract for 123 Main Street, seller disclosure for 123 Main Street, and I forget to do that. So we want to make sure we label all documents clearly so we're able to find it. Order documents logically. So for me, everybody is different. This is how I put my documents in order. I have the first will be the pre-approval letter. So the first thing they see when they open it up is that the client is pre-approved, the lender's information, what they're pre-approved for. After that will be the actual purchase contract. So they'll have all the documents. After that will be seller disclosure. Some areas we still use lead-based disclosure and radon. So again, that's how I order my documents up, and I put it together as one PDF. Offer and disclosures for 123 Main Street will be the name of the PDF that I'm sending over. Email summary. So for me, I always put a quick summary in the email. Hey, John, this is Jesse Coleman with Keller Williams Realty. Attached is offer contract, pre-approval letter, and disclosures. Here's a quick summary of the offer. Offer price $700,000, earnest money $10,000, closing date November 24th. Tax proration, this loan type, just a quick summary of what that is so they can see it and then go from there. Number 6, there is a certain Facebook group for realtors that has about 40, 50, or even over 100,000 agents. There was a great debate in there on, do you notify the listing agent that you're submitting the offer? And how do you notify the listing agent? You had team email where they just email, say they're going to submit an offer. You had team phone call or text. Then you had a few outliers that just said, no, I just submit the offer. I don't call the agent. So again, it's your preference, but I would say give a phone call because again, we could get information from the listing agent. When they say, hey, this is Jesse, I'm just giving you a call. I showed your listing on 123 Main Street. I'm putting together an offer to submit it. What is most important to your client? Have you guys received offers and your client rejected them? You know, what were some of the reasons why? Like, I want to get information and let them know to be on the lookout for the offer. Add all the documents to command, of course, for compliance, purchase price, pre-approval level, purchase agreement, all those things, and then consult with your buyer. I always touch bases with the buyer first and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I'm about to submit the offer. Are we still good to go? And then I follow up with them after I submit the offer, say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, just to let you know, I submitted the offer. Soon as I get a response, I'll let you know. Okay. Any ahas or takeaways from this part here with the presenting the offer checklist? So I will just say this. I have kids, so I am very good with silence because I don't get it a lot. So
Jesse, I just had to check my volume to make sure it was still on. These people acting like you're not even talking today.
they went from being the best group to now the energy level just went.
We're gonna have to make them stand up and wiggle their butts.
Yeah, you have to do some affirmations or something. All right, well, we'll keep trucking along.
Here, I'll chime in.
Okay.
I'm not even on camera, but I'm going to chime in on this. My thought with all of this that you're talking about, notifying the buyers and talking to them, I would hate to be the agent whose clients missed out on their dream house because an offer went to spam and I never told a listing agent to look for it. Because
Yep.
listen, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to mess up. There's a lot of grace in this world, but I don't know how I could possibly feel okay that I simply didn't make a phone call and my clients missed out on the best opportunity for them.
And that is a real life thing that has happened to people before.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't notify the listing agent. The offer, the email went to spam, and it was just sitting there. Or this is not me because I hate having notifications on my thing. There are some people that don't check their emails, and they have 14,000 unread emails, and yours just went right into the fold because they weren't looking for it. So again, these are things just to make sure we're presenting our clients in the best light and we're giving them the best opportunity to win. Paula, if it's let me see, if it's important to your client, it should be important to you as well. Exactly. The first thing, and this is what Gary and Jason said in Value Squared. Once you sign that buyer broker agreement, your client goals now become your goals. You have the exact same goals. Pamela said, I think you need to make a call and notify that you are sending the offer. Yep. We got came to know that sellers' disclosures to be included in the contract. Yep. Because here, here's two parts to that. So as a listing agent, for us, if the time clock restarts if we do not give the disclosures at the same time of the on the MLS. So again, if somebody submits an offer for our property, then we give them the property disclosures, they get extra time because now they have to review those disclosures. So for us as listing agents, we make sure that the property disclosures are inside of the MLS. So when they go to submit an offer, they have the disclosures right there that they can go through. They can sign and submit it with their offer contract. So everything is on the same timeline. And this is something they just changed over the last year or so. So again, we want to make sure that we're keeping the process going and we're working in the best interest of our clients. Do you recommend calling the listing agent before writing the offer or once you've sent it? So, that is a good question. It depends on the situation. If my client is going to submit a strong offer and there's no extra information we may need to determine our offer, then I'm going to call and say, hey, Juanita, I got an offer that I'm going to send over to you. I just want to give you a heads up that it's going to be in your inbox, in your mailbox. Now, if me and my client is trying to figure out what is the best price to offer, I'm going to reach out and say, hey, this is Jesse Coleman with Keller Williams Realty. I just showed your property on 123 Main Street. Hey, what is most important to your client right now? Because again, we automatically go right to price because majority of the time it is. But over the past few years, it's been lease back and closing dates. That has been a big thing over the past year or so. Because some people are not able to time up when they sell for their purchase. So they may need, a week or so of lease back, or they just need to extend the closing date, or they need to shorten the closing date. So those are things you want to ask. When the appraiser is finished, then you submit offer. So I know for us, we usually don't order appraisal until we get out of attorney review period. So the appraisal wouldn't be done prior to submitting the offer. What you got, Cal? What y'all do? Y'all do something different down there?
I think it just depends on the client. I've had clients rarely, but I've had it happen, get it appraised before they submit. And in this market, it's a little, we can sometimes do that. If you do get into a situation in your location where the days on market are much lower, be careful because you may appraise your way right out of that home.
That is interesting because our lenders won't order the appraisal until they have an executed contract and going. So that interesting. Yeah, you can put a contingency in the offer around the appraisal passing. You could definitely do that. Okay, y'all doing good. These are some great questions. All right. All right. So now we will move on to receive and respond. I always like talking about this because this is the part where we have to get our ego in check. We have to remember there's a win-win situation for our client. And I don't know about your market, but in our market, we do a lot of transactions with the same agents, and it is not a fight to the death between you and that agent on making sure your client gets what they're looking for. Again, it's a win-win situation for both. Receive and review the offer checklist. Make sure offer is complete. So when you get the offer, you're reviewing it, making sure everything is completed in there. Confirm receipt of the offer. Be a good person. When you receive the offer, you could just respond back and say offer received, just to let the agent on the other side know that you did receive the offer. Get offer to seller in a timely manner. Create an executive summary so you can, especially if you have multiple offer situations, in Command, you can actually do side-by-side comparisons for multiple offers that highlight some of the key points in it, and you can use that one pager to present to your client. Call buyer's agent if you want a little bit more information. Here's a big thing that I always do is call the lender. Hey, this is Jessica Coleman with Keller Williams Realty. I just received the offer from your client, John. Can you give me a little information? Did you get all the documentation? Did you get everything you need? How strong of a buyer is John? So that way, I can present that information to my client as they're, reviewing offers and deciding what it is they want to do. Then you want to create an outline document to reference when you call a seller. So you get everything together. You have it outlined. Now you're presenting everything to your seller and you're going over all the things and you're answering all the questions for them. They want me to highlight this because again, our industry is going through a lot of stuff. So you and your client should be focused on the terms of the offer, not the people buying. It is a violation of federal law to discriminate against any of the protected classes, race, color, religion, or creed, national origin, ancestry, sex, disability, and familial status. I just found out something recently that disability is the number one discriminated on class out of all of them. So again, we just want to make sure we're on top of things and we know we are focusing on the offer, letting your client know we're focusing on the offer, the terms on the offer, and that will be our main focus. All right. Anything about receive or review the offer that sticks out to you, or something that you would add in? Mm.
Hey, Jesse, I was a little curious again, how do you present and review multiple offers to your clients so that they can be kind of trying to compare apples to apples?
So, what I use is again in Command, and they have it where you can put in all the offers, and then you can put the terms, you can put the pros and cons, and then it will give you a one pager, and it will give side by side comparisons of all the offers, and then you can compare that with your client and go over it. So if one is a FHA, one is conventional. If one is offering 600,000, others offering 610,000, they have a closing date of November 24th. They have a closing date of December 10th. Like, it'll all be side by side, and then you all can take a bigger picture of it and look and see which one best fits the goal of the seller. Let's see. Do you have bank issues or how to avoid? Could you elaborate a little bit more so I can have clarity before I answer? How to confirm what about change in sale or buyer price? So, if you're referencing like reaching out to the lender and confirming, their the strength of the buyer, then it's just having a phone call with them and seeing what's going on. Um, the change in selling or buyer price, would that be if they submitted an offer and then they came back and said they wanted to change their offer price? So then that would be a conversation that you will have with your client and say, hey, they submitted the offer for 600. They just came back and said they actually wanted to change their offer, and then that will be your client's decision on if they want to entertain that, or if they just like, no, we're going to stick to this price. If they can't, move forward with that, then we'll continue marketing the property. Mm.
Another question for you, Jesse. You mentioned checking tax records. When would it be a good idea to maybe ask for a preliminary title report?
So for us, we are in a attorney state. So once we get an executed contract, our attorney submits the executed contract to the title company. They pull title. They start doing that. So for us, I'm lucky I don't have to do that. Our attorneys do that. But I would say as soon as if you're the buyer's agent, and then as soon as you get an executed contract, then they should be doing that. If you're the listing agent, you can actually do that before the process starts, so you can make sure that everything is clear with title. Because as a listing agent, there's some situations where, especially if it's a situation where the property has changed into family, and we want to make sure the person that's selling is actually the person that can, we'll have the title company run a title search, and then we'll verify everything on that side. So being a listing agent, you can do it prior to as the buyers. That's going to happen once you get the executed contract. All right. All right, perfect. All right, so again, you can use command to create an offer, in command. It's connected to DocuSign. You can get everything in there, and then this can be, again, this is your scoreboard. This is where you can track everything. See, the strength of your database, see your pipeline for your buyers and sellers, and making sure that you're staying on top of your goals. Quick review. So when you receive and review an offer, buyer submits an offer. Your client, your seller will respond in one of three ways. They'll either counter the offer. Now negotiation has started. Accept the offer. Begin the contract to close process. Reject the offer. Buyer agent contacts listing agent to learn more. Don't assume no means no. So again, this is highlighting what that process looks like. All right. Ahas from that section.
Realizing that you don't need an appraisal on everything. It really depends on if the loan like if the bank requires the loan to be approved, right? Like if somebody's just going to make a cash offer, there's
Yeah.
not a requirement to get an appraisal, but it's you should still recommend it to your client if they're buying, because you want to make sure that they're buying a good property and that everything is in working order. So
Yep. And so 9 times out of 10, if you have a buyer that is purchasing in cash, they've already ran the numbers on what that's going to look like. When you're working with investors, they're numbers people. That's all they care about. So if they want you to submit an offer for something, they've already done the calculations of what that's going to look like. Now, the only time that I've seen where the lenders don't require an appraisal is if somebody is putting down 20 or more percent. Because then that really doesn't matter to the lender because, you know, the buyer has more skin in the game. Yet you could still request, hey, you know what? I still want to do an appraisal so I can know where I'm at with equity. Okay. We had a comment. Offer comparison using KW command. Oh, listen, it is the best thing. Take it from somebody who used to print out every offer contract and have them sitting on a table and go through each one page by page, presenting it. By the time you get to the third or the fourth one, everything is blending together. They don't know which one is which. They're confused. They're over it. One pager, compare every single one, and then you can go from there.
and if you're a buyer, you don't necessarily, I mean, if you pay for the appraisal, if you're a buyer, the seller doesn't get access to that. So that only goes to your client. So it's not like you're giving away what the price is worth to the seller. It's the seller's due diligence to have the property appraised if they want to have it appraised, if they think that what they're selling it for is not what the property is worth.
So here's the caveat to that I want you all to make sure that to that point. When it comes to that, you have to remember the lender's appraisal is the only one that's going to matter when it comes to them approving to loan the money. So I've had to have that conversation with people where they're like, well, I want to get my own appraisal done. I'm like, that's fine. And when it comes to the lender make approving, giving a clear to close, they're gonna go off of what their appraiser says. So we want to make sure we remember that. I have sellers all the time, like, I'm gonna get an appraisal done. I'm like, that is perfect for your records, but the lender is still going to do their own appraisal. They're going to have a person that's going to be totally different than the person you got. They're going to look at different things. They're going to look at different comps depending on how it goes. So we just want to make sure that we keep that in the back of our mind, because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what that appraiser that the lender reached out to get the appraisal done for. Okay. All right. So we are going to take a quick break while I get ready for the next. So we went through making, receiving offers. After the break, we're going to go over negotiation. Again, when we get to negotiation, that is where we have to make sure that we're grounded, we're professional, that we are working in the best interest of our clients. And remember, there's no emotions from us because we are not tied to the outcome. Okay. And then while we're taking a break, I need you amazing, wonderful people to give me a review from this section of make and receive offers. So while we're taking a break, you can scan the QR code on the screen, and I would love for you to give me a review of how I did for the first section of the evening. And then we'll take like a quick 4-5 minute break while I get the other slides ready, and then we'll move on to the last part. I will say the next section is a little bit shorter. So again, my goal is to get you all out of here in a decent or quicker amount of time. Yeah, negotiations are the best. I know a lot of agents, they say that is their best. That is the best part of being an agent, that they like to negotiate.
I think the best part of being an agent is really large commission checks.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, and you negotiating can make that either even larger or more because you did so good for your client. Now they're referring you to all their friends. Then now more commission checks are coming in because you were the greatest negotiator they have ever seen on the face of the earth.
Oh, that's so good. Negotiations also are what scared me the most when I got into real estate.
Yeah, negotiations for me, it is detaching from the outcome, because it can get to the point where it's like, okay, it's me versus this other agent. It's us. We're going at it, and then your client be like, hey, you know what? Actually, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that price, and you're like, no, 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 we can get more. And you again, that's where you have to be like, okay, my client wants this. I have to accept that. So I forgot to take my poll that I usually take at the beginning of the class. Raise your digital hand, or raise your hand, or put it in the chat box if you've been in the business 1 to 3 years. 1 to 3 years. If you've been in the business 3 to 5 years. Oh, one or less. Okay. Less than a year. Okay, yeah, less than a year to 3. There we go. Okay, so we got a lot of newer age. Okay. 0 years. I like that. Okay, so 3 to 5 years. Any of our veterans in here? Okay. 4, 3.5. 2 weeks. Woo, all right. Four years. A decade, yeah. Yeah. Us old folks in here with the young whippersnappers. All right, perfect. Okay, good. 5 years, 5 months. Okay. Okay, 4 years, 2 weeks, 3.5, 4, less than 1, 0, less than 1. Got it. 8 months. This is the best time to get into real estate. You know why? Because it is the toughest time. This is going to prepare you for when the market is beautiful and amazing. You are going to be set so good. You're going to know the ropes. You're going to know how to negotiate. You're going to know the pains, the struggles, and you're going to appreciate when the good times come. And you're going to build your pipeline up where it doesn't matter what market is going on, you're prepared for it. 2 months, 9 months. Okay. Perfect. I want you all to give yourself a round of applause because you are committed to bettering yourself. You are here when everybody else is not. You are looking to grow and become better and, be a part of that 20% that does the work and receive the benefits of it. So, this is not something to take lightly. You all are showing up and doing the things. Like, you should really be proud of yourself because, again, a lot of people aren't doing that. This is a national Zoom, and we're talking about West Coast, and there's 36 of y'all here. Pretty sure there's a lot more ages that's 1 year or less that should be on here. So when you all are passing them up, you're getting those closing checks. You're on the scoreboard at your market center, and they're wondering how you did it. You're saying, "Hey, I showed up. I showed up and did the work. Time on task over time." Yep. Then they can come be on your team. Yep. Can you show me how you did it? Yep. I can help you out. So again, give yourself a round of applause. And we are going to get started because again, I'm going to get you guys out of here early. That way you can enjoy the rest of your evening. So now we're going to go into negotiating offers. Again, we just went over make and receive offers. Now we're diving into negotiate offers. Agenda. We're going to start with what is negotiation, followed by the 3 P's of negotiation, negotiation tips, and then we'll follow up with a recap for this and then for the whole session. Okay. Negotiation is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life. Again, negotiation is not something to be avoided or feared. It is a part of everyday life. So whenever I talk about this, I always bring up for any parents on here. Any parents, raise your hands. We negotiate with our kids every day. Hey, stop doing that and I'll give you this. Hey, if you do that, you'll get this. We negotiate every day. For my husbands on here, you all negotiate with your wives when you want to go get a round of golf in. Hey, we can go to Michael's. Let me just go play, these 18 holes real quick. We're negotiating every single day. So again, we can't fear it and we can't avoid it. That is just something you always lose those. Hey, we can't win every negotiation, all right? So it is a part of it. But again, we have negotiation throughout our life on a daily basis that when it comes time for business, we can't fear it, we can't avoid it, we have to embrace it. And then again, our goal is to make sure that our client reaches their goal. All right. What is negotiation? When we talk about negotiation, again, we're going back for the Y4C2D, two T's. It is a big part of it because we want to make sure that, again, we're creating that win-win situation. We want to make sure we're standing integrity. We want to make sure our customers come first. We want to make sure we're committed to all things. And one big thing in negotiation is communication. Not only just in negotiation for real estate, our personal lives, business, it's communication. So we want to make sure that we're communicating at a high level. Creativity, ideas before results, teamwork. You are working with a co-broke. Teamwork is making sure you guys can come to a mutual agreement to help communicate, articulate that to your clients. Everybody's on the same page. We can come to a win-win where it's a closing table. Your client gets the home they're looking for, or vice versa. They're selling the home and they're getting paid. Same thing with the co-broker and you. You helped your clients reach their goal, and then you're getting paid for it. Trust starts with honesty. We're always being honest. We're always being transparent. That helps us stay out of trouble. That helps us stay out of arbitration. That helps us stay out of getting, that call from our managing broker. Equity opportunities for all. So again, it goes back to not discriminating for anything. Success results through people. I put that in the same thing as teamwork. You know, we'll be successful with results through people if we work together to achieve more. The path of negotiation. So in a last Ignite session we talked about offers. Now we're going to talk about moving through the process towards closing. However, it's not always as simple as option one, where you get the offer is accepted, now we're closed. A lot of times you're going to end up in in option two. You're going to reject the offer or you're going to counter the offer. Once you get that, now you're going through the cycle of negotiations. I'll be honest with you, I had a situation where negotiation took a whole week. We came with something, they came back with something. We came with something else, they came back, and it was the cycle just constantly going. But we end up getting into a situation where the offer was accepted. Okay? If the offer is rejected, now you're going back to the beginning of the process. But these are your two options on the path of negotiating an offer. Trick question. Who do you negotiate with first?
Depends on which side you're dealing with, right? Like if you're a buyer, you're going to consult your buyer. If you're a seller, you're going to like talk with your sellers, right?
Yep. Bingo. So first is negotiating
Clients.
with your client, and then next is the agent on the other side of the transaction. You are always negotiating with your client and with the agent on the other side. And don't forget, this is your career. And if you continue to conduct business in the same market, you are likely to encounter the same agents on the other side of the transaction over and over again. So that goes back to when we talked about a little bit earlier of making sure that you are doing your best, you're showing up in the best way, because again, you're going to see the same people over and over again. And you don't want to have that reputation where if they see your name on the contract, they're like, "Uh-oh, this is finna be one of those." So again, we're negotiating with our clients, and then we're negotiating with the agent on the other side. The common points of negotiation fall into two categories. It's either price or it's terms. Price is usually a primary factor in negotiation and is always about the cost of the property. Terms are either financial, time-based, or both. Examples could be closing costs, repairs, closing date, things like that. What are some additional terms do you might think might be in the negotiation part of the transaction? So we already talked about um, finance base. We talked about closing costs, closing date, and repairs. What are some other things that would be a part of that?
Lease back or a home warranty.
Yep, those are two. Vals. Yep, lease back, items in the home. Yep, what's conveying. Yep. Anything else that come to mind? We got lease back. One could be appraisal. Another one could be earnest money or option fees. Yep, seller credits. So again, these are all things that could be a part of the common points of negotiation when we're talking about terms. Inspection, yep. So when you think about it, price is kind of the easiest part of negotiation. When you think about the terms, now it's a whole list of things that could be a possibility of you having to negotiate with all these things. Three P's of negotiation. So they say first you learn what can be negotiated, price, and terms. Now you're going to learn a model that you can use as you work through negotiation. The model is called the three P's of negotiation. So the first P, preparation is the key to building confidence, ensuring a smooth negotiation. Second P is present. Move into the negotiation process by presenting the offer. Third P, position. Move both parties closer until you have a full agreement. So throughout this next section, we'll go in depth into each of the three pieces and spend some time. We're not going to really go to too much practice and role play because again, my goal is to get you guys out of here. But we are going to dive in depth into each one so we can make sure we have a clear understanding on it. The first P is preparation. This details the actions and steps that you'll take before entering negotiation, the preparation you need. So, first, know your goals. Have a clear goal of reaching a win win negotiation in which both the buyer and seller are satisfied with the outcome of the negotiation. Remind your client of their motivation for moving or buying the house, and that when the contract closes, they'll be able to move on with their lives. Again, that goes back. What is the motivation? Why is the buyer buying? Why is the seller selling? We're going to always have to come back to negotiation to motivation when we're in the negotiation part. So again, reminding them, hey, remember you said you needed to move to Texas by this date because your kids are going to start school. Hey, remember you said you need to move here because you want to be closer to your parents because one of them is not feeling too well and you want to make sure you spend as much time with them. Again, we have to remind them of their motivation because, again, this is a big move for anybody. So we want to make sure we remind them of that. Know your client. Make sure you fully understand your client's goals. Learn the areas in which they are willing to negotiate and where they stand firm. So what that looks like for our buyers, hey Jesse, look, we are not willing to pay more than $600,000, and we are not willing to pay more than $3,000 a month. We are firm on that. We're not. There's no room for us to go over that. Okay, perfect. I know where they're standing firm at. Hey, you know what? If they don't leave the refrigerator or that, it's okay. You know, we could give a take a little bit on that. Again, knowing what they're standing firm on and knowing what they're, where they have a little wiggle room at. Same thing with our sellers. Mr. and Mrs. Sellers, what price will you just not go under? Perfect. What are some things that you're willing to part ways with, or what are some of the things that you're going to take with you? Just knowing what they're standing firm on, and then where you have some negotiation room at. Think ahead. Anticipate what the other party intends to get out of the negotiation. Write down how you think they may counter the offer and how you plan to handle it. So that is something that comes a lot more with experience. The more you do transactions, the more you do stuff, you can get a clear idea of, okay, this is how they'll probably respond to that. Now, a quicker way to do that as a newer agent is asking those questions up front. Hey, what's most important to your client? Same thing for you. Hey, talking to your client, what's most important to you? Now, with you doing that, you get a clear idea of what are some of the things they may come back with and how they may respond in future situations. 4, set clear expectations. I would say highlight this in any stage of the transaction, in any stage of lead generation or following up. Always set clear expectations. Prior to meeting with the other party, set clear and realistic expectation with your client. Then underpromise and over-deliver. Stress the importance of moving quickly to create a sense of urgency. Part of setting clear expectations with your client is being clear that win-lose agreements are likely to be rejected by the other side. To set yourself up for success, make it a win-win. So again, we're setting that expectation with our client. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, just to be clear and make you aware, if we do submit an offer that's $400,000 under list price, there's a good chance they're going to reject it and they're not even going to entertain us. So I just want to set that expectation up front. I just want to let you know what to look forward to. Be informed. Before making an offer or counter offer, it's good practice to speak with 2 agents, ask open-ended questions, use active listening to find out as much as you can about the other party and their agent. We've already personally did this. When we reached out to the agent prior to submitting the offer, seeing what's most important to their client, we got all the information we needed. We're aware, we're informed of what that situation is going to be. Number 6, obey the laws. Everybody is getting in trouble these days, so we're making sure we are obeying the laws. We're not doing anything, that can get us in trouble. I have to read this. Every state and locality have their own set of laws that regulate zoning, mortgage qualifications, and other real estate matters. Stay current on your local regulations and stay out of court. Yeah, stay out of court. Those fines are not cheap. It's not cheap for you as the agent, and it's not cheap for your market center. So, you know, yeah, it's all common sense. Just make sure you do things right. And then 7, know the documents inside out. Be familiar with your local board of realtors governing forms. Take the time needed to understand the templates and what belongs in each field. So, for my newer agents, I would suggest you get a accountability partner. It could be somebody in your own market center. I'm going to even put my email and phone number in the chat box. I can be your accountability partner. If you are newer to the business, every other day, or you know what? I would say every week you should be practicing doing a mock contract until you know it inside and out. So let's just say this week you're working on an offer contract. You should be creating an offer contract with a property address, the buyer's name, terms of the contract, working on filling it out until you know it inside and out. Because here's the thing, every client is different. You're going to have some clients that's a high D where you could just give them a quick overview, let them know where to sign, and they're going to be good. You're going to have somebody that's a C where they're going to want you to read every single line of that contract and explain it to them. And they're not going to move forward unless they completely understand. So the best way for us to be prepared for that is to practice. Again, we talk about time on task over time. Practicing the contract, getting familiar with it, going over it to where you know it like the back of your hand. After August 17th, a lot of places have brand new contracts. They added new sections in, they took wording out, they put wording in, they changed things. So we want to make sure that we are well aware of what's going on. So when we are explaining it to our clients, we can articulate it and we can answer any questions they have. Okay? So again, accountability partner, your team leader, your managing broker, your coach, doing the mock contract, sending it to them, having them check it, make sure you did everything right, and then again, making sure you know that. So when the time comes, you're one of the agents that's ready to go, as opposed to the agent that get their first buyer that want to submit an offer, and now they're scrambling trying to figure out how to sign it, and the client has a question and they're not ready to answer it. Okay? Anything that comes to mind or anything, hold on. Practice license agreement with partners. Yep. That's your worst fear. Yeah, it's about practice. Again, practicing before you're getting in the game. So we're not just going into the game blind, we're practicing getting ready for it. Mhm.
Hey, Jesse, this is Kanaya.
Hey,
Um, so do you suggest any books on different type of variations of contracts that is already filled out and why it's been filled out to refer back for each specific state? I'm in Nevada, so I'm a new agent. So practicing the contracts, it's good, but then I don't know who the accountability partner would be and what kind of feedback they can give it back to me. And what kind of negotiation things that needs to be listed in the contract. My broker is actually helping me with those, fake contracts, but at the same time, I feel like I'm spending too much of my broker's time.
so what you could do is, and then here's the thing that I do with a lot of agents that I coach,
Uh-huh.
that when I'm going over the contract with them, I'm actually recording it. So that way you can play it over and over again. And then when you do a mock one, you do one that you fill out with your manager broker and they fill it out. And then that could be your reference point to keep going over it again. The negotiation part isn't more so in the contract. That's going to be more verbally and via email where you negotiate the terms. And then when you come to the agreements on the terms, that's when you actually put those agreements in the contract and then resubmit it.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how it is in Nevada, but if you can, again, have your managing broker take a blank one and walk you through filling it out, and then while you guys are doing it you can record it, so that way you have the actual filled out contract and you have a video of him explaining it or her explaining it and filling out each section of it.
Okay. No, he did explain about all those things, but for example, a contract for a single home is different than a contract for a multifamily versus mobile home versus lead paint versus radon, right? There's so many factors that goes into the contract.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, yeah, thinking if there's a book that kind of like goes over specifically on the contract sections for a state, in that way we can refer back why that section is given in the contract for that specific state, like what the things that agent needs to think of when talking to a client or when talking to the seller agent, you know what I'm saying?
So here's what I'll say. With being a newer agent, I would say focus on one or two parts. So let's just say for me, if I'm a newer agent, I am going to focus on single family homes, and then we have a lot of attached condos, and I'll focus on the condo contracts because those have different things where there's HOA things you have to put in there, PIN numbers for parking spaces, for storage spaces, so I would say pick one or two and then get comfortable with those. Then you can go to, okay, multifamily. Now because multifamily, I know for us, you're dealing with a lot of extra stuff. You're
Mm-hmm.
you're dealing with T12s, you're dealing with rent rolls. There's a lot of extra things
Yeah.
that you have to deal with. So I would just say like focus on one first, get very familiar with that. You can do that in a week, if I'm being honest. If you do for 1 week straight for 5 days, you write a purchase contract every day, you'll have it done. Then the next week you could do a multifamily and so forth and so forth. So I would just say, take time to focus on one, then you can move on to the next one.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have anything around that? All right. Let's keep the party going. All right. Ask purposeful questions. They say understanding the right questions to ask is important to the negotiation process and to being able to prepare in the most comprehensive way. Asking questions allow you to establish and uncover the objectives and goals of your client and those on the other side of the transaction. By asking questions, you gain more information. As you gain information, you will strengthen your ability to negotiate and increase your chance of having a win-win negotiation. Benefits of asking questions: provide you with the points you would negotiate on. 2, provide insight on where you and your client will have leverage. Set clear expectations. Allow you to get to know your client and their goal. Helps you learn what will make it a win-win negotiation for both parties. Now, when we're talking about questions, there's two types of questions. You have open-ended and then you have closed-ended questions. Open-ended questions are questions that had unlimited responses. So, what additional information should I know? What is more important? What is important about closing in 30 days? How do you feel about that? As opposed to a closed-ended question, questions that expect a specific response, often yes, no, or one word. Do you have to sell your home by a specific date? Do you have any or other offers? What is the bottom line price you would consider? So, when we think about open-ended questions, you really think about that when it comes to lead generating or, setting an appointment or going on a listing presentation. You're asking open-ended questions. Think of it like this: if I were to ask somebody on the phone, "Hey, can I have your phone number?" On Zoom, and they say yes or no. But if I say, "Hey, what is the best number for I can reach you at?" it triggers something where they're more likely and more willing to give it to you. So it's the same thing when you're trying to set an appointment. Hey, can I meet with you? They'll say yes or no. Hey, I'll be in the area around this time. What is the best time for me to stop by to have a conversation with you? It forces them to give you a little bit more of a response as opposed to just saying, no, you can't meet with me. Okay? Next, we're going to talk about what and why questions. What what questions is what will happen if? It helps you anticipate the next steps of the negotiation. Then the why is this important to you? It helps you gain more information and gain more insight. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. We'll just go a little bit deep into that. So when you're talking about a what question, it's I just saw it somewhere when they was really breaking down the difference between a what and why. A why question sometimes makes people feel as if you're judging them, and a what question is more so like you just trying to get to, again, the next step, as they say, what's going on. The why is you trying to get a little bit more information from them. Does that make sense? So we're not going to do that. So next part of it is present. When we're talking about presenting the offer, the best practice it says call the agent. So we're calling a co-broke agent. We're getting hey, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be presenting, sending over an offer, blah blah blah. You're just going through it, letting them know. Pay attention to nonverbal cues like pauses and voice qualities. So if you are having a conversation, you're getting information for the agent. Pay attention to what they're not saying, if they're pausing, if their tone of voice gets higher, if it gets lower. You could feel if a person's energy drops during a conversation, okay? Keep quiet once you present an offer. So we're not really, hey, you got any update? Hey, what's your feedback? Give it a little time, then you can go for updates. Listen carefully to what is important to the other party. That's a common theme that's been going on since we started the session is again, what's important to the other party? Spencer.
I just wanted to hop in on that number three, where when we've had a listing and the buyer's agent submits an offer and almost immediately says, "Hey, feel free to counter."
Yeah. Yep.
It gives away their negotiation power, right? And we say,
Yep.
"Okay, for sure, we're going to counter. Why would we accept this if they're giving those cards away?"
Yep. And that's something we're going to talk about. I'm glad you brought that up because we're going to talk about that a little bit of not giving away too much. Like again, if you're a listing agent and you get an offer and then the buyer's agent reach out and say, "Hey, my client really needs to purchase and this is great. We're willing to negotiate, we're willing to work." They just gave away a lot of their leverage because now I'm going to my client like they are kind of desperate. They already told us that they're willing to negotiate. So this offer they submitted is not, it's not the final one. We can negotiate something else. So again, to your point, it's keeping stuff close to our chest and not giving away too much. Number 5, stay calm and relaxed. Again, we have to control what we say. And I know, let me stop this real quick. I know that a lot of time this will be over the phone. Yet we got to watch our facial expressions. Our facial expressions will say more than we can ever say sometimes. So again, we're staying calm, we're staying relaxed, we're staying focused, we're staying on point. That way, again, we're making sure everything is we're covering all our tracks. What do you say before you prepare a contract? So is that to our agent, to our client, or the other side? I just want to make sure I answer the right way. I'll come back and check the chat, and then I'll answer that for you. All right. So again, we're staying calm and relaxed. And 6, we're focusing on the customer's need. Again, once we sign that listing agreement, once we sign that buyer broker agreement, our client goals have become our goals. We are in alignment. We are focused on the same thing. And then 7, give your offer the best chance. Again, for us to work in fiduciary responsibility for our client, we do have to let them know sometimes, like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I'm just going to let you know this offer is a little bit low for what the market is telling us. I presented you with the CMA to show them what the market is saying. Just to give you a heads up, this is a little low. I will present it to them, but again, setting that expectations like we talked about, this is what we can expect from that. Okay. Now we're going to talk about position. Now that we have covered the first 2 pieces of the 3 P's approach, we're ready to get into the third P, position. Positioning is about moving both parties closer until there's a total agreement. When you are engaged in the 3 steps, you will 1, acknowledge the common ground. You are looking for places where the buyer and seller are in agreement. This also helps uncover the areas that can be adjusted versus the ones that are set in stone. So once you know what they're in agreement on, then you can figure out, okay, where do you need to make adjustments at? 2, then you're going to use the what and how questions. These are specific types of questions you will help you better understand the priorities on the other side of the table. In your participation guide, there's going to be some examples of what and how questions that you can use. So I'm pretty sure they sent that out earlier. So you'll have those in there that you can refer back to. 3, understand that this is the process. Sometimes you will have to go back and forth multiple times to come to an agreement. So again, like I pointed out earlier, there may be times where you're counter offering each other multiple times. Like it's like a Ferris wheel, you're going back and forth. But then number 4, remember the Y4C2Ts. Know when to walk away from a deal that is not going to be a win-win without damaging the relationships in the process. Again, if it is not a win-win situation and we articulate that to our clients and they are in agreement, then we walk away from the transaction. Okay. I'm going to do that. Ahas from that section.
That you have to have a poker face when you're negotiating and that you shouldn't give things away. That was I don't know who asked that question, but that was very, very helpful. So thank you for asking that.
Yeah, I have been told very recently that my facial expressions, and when they said, with my facial expressions, they will hate to hear the things that I'm not saying. I'm like, well, I don't know how to take that. Like, yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or I think it's because you have that dad face where your kids doing stuff and you don't even have to say nothing. You just give them that look and they be like, uh-oh, okay, let me stop. So I guess that's what I've picked up. Yeah, the RBF. So I
What
guess I picked that up.
what is RBF?
Um, we're recording, so I don't know if I should.
Oh no, never mind. I got it. Got it.
Oh, you was gonna get me in trouble because I was gonna say it, but probably would get in trouble.
We already did your review earlier, so you're safe.
Okay, cool.
You're all good.
So again, it's a lot of times, a lot of us we don't say the things, but our facial expression says it loud and clear for us. So again, with us knowing that about ourselves, we have to make sure that when it's time to negotiate, we're going in that realm of things. We just have to get our poker face on, and then we just go from there. Right? Yes, I will definitely put the QR code back up because actually I'm going to put the QR code up for this section too because we did two separate ones. So I will definitely be doing that. All right.
I don't know.
Let's
You said RBF. What are we gonna do?
Well, I didn't say it all the way out. So RBF is fine, but if we were in person, oh, believe me, I would have said the whole thing. All right, now we're gonna go talk about negotiation tips. I know somebody, I'm sorry, I can't remember who asked about this. So this is gonna be a section part of it where we'll go over some of those things. It is important to remember that negotiating is a skill that is learned and practiced. When using the 3Ps approach, keep in mind these best practices. Above all else, be professional. That is hard when we deal with some people in our industry that may not should be in our industry. It is hard, and yes, we have to be professional. Again, we have to we got to keep focus, all right? Remember your goal, a signed contract. This is what you're driving towards, and it's what both agents and their clients have in mind. So again, when you thinking about the goal is a signed contract. Control what you say to anyone involved in the transaction. If you create anxiety in your client or other parties, you're reducing their leverage in the negotiation. So when we're talking about our clients, they feed off of our energy. If we're anxious, if we're worried, they're going to automatically feel that way. If we are stoic, we are, poker face, hey, everything's going to be good, they're going to still have some anxiety and it's going to be a little bit more relaxed because they can look at us and see that we are, we're okay. Continually refer to your client's motivation when speaking with them. That is key. We're always reminding them their big why, the reason why they're doing it. The same reason we have a big why of why we get up and we lead gen and we work. They have a big why of why they're buying or selling, and we have to keep that big why in front of them. Do not reveal too much. Listen more than talk. Keep your client's motivation close to your chest. See, I'm gonna stop sharing for this one. I've been on both sides of this. As a buyer's agent, I want the listing agent to get diarrhea at the mouth. They will tell you every single thing you need to know, especially when it's an agent that's tired of their seller. I had an agent say, you know what, Jesse, I am tired of them. If your client can come in around this number, around this closing date, we can get this thing done. And I'm as a buyer's agent, I'm like, oh, well, perfect. I go to my client and say, hey, we actually don't have to offer what we were thinking about offering because the listing agent said if we come in around this number, they can get it done. So now my client loves me because I got information that helps them save money. Now, you as a listing agent, you as a buyer's agent, we're keeping our client stuff close to us. We're not, hey, as a listing agent, I'm telling them, hey, present the best offer. My clients are going to entertain all offers. Hey, what's going on? And hey, present the best offer. Because again, we don't want to lose our strength and we don't want to lose our power in the negotiation by giving up the information where they can possibly use against us. Okay. Back to the slides. Don't be attached to the outcome. You can't get everything you and your client need all the time. Don't let it affect your mindset. If a deal doesn't go through or if your client doesn't act on your recommendations, find a different win for your client. We cannot get attached to the outcome. I know that is hard, especially when we're newer in the business, but we cannot get attached to the outcome. When we get attached to the outcome and things don't go our way, we get paralyzed. We let one bad day turn into a bad week, turn into a bad month. Now it's 2 months we haven't did anything because we let this one thing paralyze us. So we're not getting attached to the outcome. Hey, this didn't work. Move on, and we're going on to the next thing. All right. Ahas from that. Ahas from the full time we had together, or if there's any other questions that you all have related to this and not related to this, let me know.
I would say it's good to ask open-ended questions of the buyer's agent because that's how you're going to get poker reads or, and like let them just open up about what's going on with their buyers.
Yep. The person that asks the most and good questions controls the conversation because you're getting all the information fed to you. They're telling you everything. They're just going on and on. All right, so we see here. Yep, clients can smell fear. Yep. Do not divulge too much information or it will weaken you. And it definitely will. Trust me, I've seen it. So again, we want to make sure we're keeping information to us. Now, you may have a situation where your client says, "Hey, Jesse, let them know that we really we're serious about purchasing because our kids have to start school. We really want to we really want to move forward." They let me know that. They told me that I can disclose that. Okay, I'll let them know that. But I am not providing any information outside of what they say I can disclose. And then I'm still going to give them my recommendation as the professional. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I don't think we should say that because if we do, that might weaken our negotiation. They may come back and say, you know what, I don't care about negotiating. I really want this. Okay, then we're going to do that and we're going to make it happen. So again, we're just making sure we're getting what they want, their best interest, and then we're making sure we're doing our fiduciary responsibility and we're following the line. Anybody else?
أول فعل السري هو تصور وتيرة صوتية اللي كتحتاجو إديتي بتنفع عالي سميتو xday.com. بالنسبة للموقع الثاني خليك ترسل فيديوهات وصور اللي بغيتي خطوات قليلة سميتو.
Is that a question? Hello?
Hi.
All right. Anybody else have anything? I'm gonna put my phone number and email in the chat. Best way to get in touch with me is texting. Second best is emailing.
Yes, I did have a question that I kind of touched on is practicing the contracts. I was trying to find out where we can get the contracts, and in previous training, they told me it was in through Command, and that's where I'd find my residential purchase agreements. Is there a way to do that without going through command, or do you recommend going through command to do your practicing?
So, I'll have two answers to that. The reason I would say yes, it's good to go through command is to get familiar with doing that when you're going to send it to your clients for signature. So, creating the opportunity, selecting if it's a listing or buyer, getting connected to DocuSign where you automatically switch over, filling it out and sending it to them. So I would say yes to do that to get familiar with that process. But overall, I know for us, our MLS or in our local realtor board has all of our contracts that I can easily print it out and then just work on getting familiar with them. So hope that answers the question. I would say do both so you can get familiar with the
It does. It's a challenge I have. I would say that helps me a lot. I think that it's a recent challenge because my marketplace has decided to go above and beyond and pretty much re-engineer every single form and add all these little clauses that are not consistent with the MLS and have all their suggestions. I would add this clause, I'd add that clause. So it's very customized now from the past because of the lawsuit. And so that's really my biggest anxiety now is learning all the new stuff like you mentioned. And if I go to the MLS generic one, it's not going to necessarily be the one that my marketplace has put together for us, which I appreciate they did that.
So I would say focus. Focus on your marketplace one because ours did the same thing. Ours got with our market center attorney, and they created our own office specific listing agreements and buyer purchase agreements, and it's the same thing. Here's the great thing I would say about that though. The one beautiful thing that came out of all of this, especially for my newer agents, that it leveled the playing field. I cannot describe the amount of veteran agents that I have meeting with that's freaking out because of new contracts or situation. So I tell all newer agents the playing field is level. They're trying to figure it out the same as you're trying to figure it out. Everybody is trying to figure out the new norm. So everybody is on an even playing field. Now, the thing is, for my newer agents, is showing up like you're doing tonight, getting into action, practicing those things. Because yes, they are freaking out, but they're going to get a grip soon, and then that's going to create that space. So, learning the contracts specific to your marketplace that you guys put together, and then being able to do it through Command and DocuSign to get it to your clients. But everybody is trying to learn all the new norm. So use this as a time for you all to get that market share, to build up your clientele, to do all the things because again, it's an even playing field.
Hey Jesse, I want to hop in and specifically on this one, but just yeah, create a great relationship with your specific broker because they're the ones that have the compliance. They're their names are on the contracts, and so every minute that they invest in you as an agent, it's helping them and saving them headaches down the road. So somebody brought that up of saying, "Hey, I feel bad for taking up a lot of my broker's time." Don't. I mean, they should be invested in your success.
Yep. I will say this as a part of Market Center leadership. Our managing broker loves helping on the front end because he hates going to arbitration because something happened. He hates getting the call from our MLS because something is wrong. So, to Spencer's point, take up time on the front end where it doesn't cost you money, as opposed to taking up time on the back end where now you're going in front of the board. You got a fee of $5,000. Some fees are up to $10,000 for the market center and $2,000 for the agent. Yeah, do what you got to do. get again, that's why I said go over the contracts, have somebody to share it with, just constantly work on it so you can get it together. But do not hesitate to reach out to your manager broker. If your manager broker say something, tell them to call me and I'll tell them I told them, told you all to reach out to them to make sure y'all got it together. Okay. Anything else? And then I'm gonna get you all out of here to enjoy your evening. What time is it out where y'all at? Time is it out that way?
7:52 on the West Coast.
9:50.
Yeah, somebody with me. 9:50. Yes. 10. Okay. So yeah, so I am gonna throw up this the review slide for this section because I am going for master faculty and I would love you all to help me get there. So go ahead. And there. And again, I always share my information, and only a few people reach out to me and, ask questions. I do not share it just to share it. If I share it, that means I am willing and open to helping answer any questions or anything you may have. So do not hesitate to shoot me a text. When you shoot me a text, put your name and then, of course, that you were with me in Ignite. All right. Stop that. I will stop recording.